This is a sample chapter from Fitton Books. Deader Than Dead by R.P. Fitton, Chapter 3. The Jeep headlights highlighted the shadowy rhododendron and Japanese shrubs as Jones navigated up the steep, narrow Fletcher Hill Road. With all the Fletcher money, he never understood why they did not illuminate the roadway to the estate. Lamp poles glowed in the distance atop the wide, long expanse ahead, as if a night game were underway. Jones shifted the Jeep into second gear and circled the concrete drive and fountain. Except for the window lights to the left, most of the brick mansion's windows were shrouded in darkness. He shut off the Jeep and stepped onto the drive. A white Cadillac SUV, one of the Fletcher SUVs, moved up Fletcher Hill toward the mansion. Jones waited for half a minute as Hollings slowed near the Jeep. The passenger side window went down electronically. "Well, hello, Matthias. Out for a night in the town, Hollings?" Hollings produced an almost shy smile. "Actually, Mr. Fletcher had me traveling to Newtown to retrieve a rare bottle of wine." Jones leaned in the window. "I must say that's awful nice of Mr. Fletcher to order real wine for my meeting tonight." Hollings grinned. "Actually, there's an investor meeting tomorrow for the new field house." "Yes, I understand. I do believe everything's in place for a swift construction completion of the field house." Jones leaned back. "Hallelujah! Do you want to park the car in the garage, Hollings? Let me get you settled with Mr. Fletcher first and move the wine into the cellar." He stepped from the car and retrieved the new wood crate from the rear of the vehicle. "That wine has its own shipping crate?" asked Jones. "How much is it worth?" $28,500. "Well, we'll need investors just for that wine," said Jones as they walked toward the towering front doors. "I dare say you're correct, Matthias." He looked to his left. "I know that Mr. Fletcher was working late on the company reports in his study. Well, he probably wanted to go over a few things about the field house before the meeting tomorrow." Hollings electronically unlocked the front doors and motioned Jones inside. Indirect soft lighting bordered the upper pediments, highlighting the Italian marble foyer. They walked into the larger wood-paneled drawing room and then into the hallway connecting to Hamilton Fletcher's study at the end. "I will show you to Mr. Fletcher and then I will detour to the wine cellar." "Thanks." The antique paintings along the hallway indicated the extent of the Fletcher wealth. A triangular light spread across the hall tiles from Hamilton Fletcher's study ahead. Jones rounded the corner with Hollings through the study's open atrium door. Hamilton Fletcher, face down in front of the darkened computer monitor, did not move. "Oh, dear God, Mr. Fletcher," said Hollings as he set the wine on one of the side tables. "He had a heart attack." Jones ran forward, passing Hollings, and abruptly stopped behind the Fletcher patriarch. Crusted blood trailed from his silky white hair down his neck and flared onto his white polo shirt. Jones immediately focused on a neat, round skull wound within the mass of hair. "Worse than that, Hollings. He's been shot." Jones ripped out his cell phone. He pushed his pre-programmed button for George Strickland. The line rang and went into the police chief's voicemail. Jones immediately dialed the police station as Hollings remained catatonic above Hamilton Fletcher's body.
"Hamilton, this is Ned."
"Ned, I need to speak to George right away. His cell phone is going into voicemail."
"No can do. Bucky Driscoll has created a disaster up there on the practice field. All the fire companies are up there and the pipes have let go."
"Ned, this is an emergency."
"Matthias, you didn't hear me. All the pipes have burst up there."
"Ned, get George on the radio right away."
"He told me not to disturb him."
"There's been a murder, and I need to speak to George."
"How do you think he's going to arrest Bucky?"
"Just get George on the radio." In the background, Ned spoke clearly as he called Strickland on the radio.
George. Hello, George."
People yelled and a few sirens wailed as Bucky Driscoll argued with several of the townspeople.
"Yeah, well, put him up. I didn't know. I couldn't see those things. How am I supposed to know there's a stupid bunch of sprinklers on?"
Arnie Dewers's voice could be heard defending Bucky.
"Why don't you people back off? Leave him alone. Leave him alone."
Strickland's name lit up on Jones's cell phone.
"Matthias, who's been murdered?"
"George, I would keep this very hush. Somebody put a bullet in Hamilton Fletcher's head. He sprawled in front of his computer screen, deader than dead." For a few seconds, Strickland said nothing. "George, are you there?"
"Are you sure he's dead?"
Jones again looked at the puncture wound in Hamilton Fletcher's skull. "He's dead, George." Strickland's voice shook as he must have been running. The confusion back at the field, along with Bucky Driscoll's blather, quickly faded away. He could hear Strickland call Wendell and his other man Tully on the radio.
Matthias, who was up there?
There was no one up here, George. Only Hamilton. Hollings had gone out, and I met him as he came back to the estate. Isn't that correct, Hollings? Hollings snapped out of his dumbfounded state and nodded at Jones. Yes, he was home alone.
I heard him,
said Strickland.
Make sure nobody gets near the study or the body.
I understand, George, he said, staring at Hamilton.
Including you.
Come on, George.
Wendell and Tully will be up there shortly. I'm calling Don Pacheco and Kevin Phillips as well as Clayton Morris. There's going to be all kinds of speculation. You need to call Ham. Where is he?
I have no idea, said Jones, gawking at the old man.
I'm on my way.
Jones found the computer's darkened screen odd since Hamilton had been working on company reports, according to Hollings. He walked around the side of the desk. Hamilton Fletcher's chin and fists lay on the keyboard. Where's Ham, Hollings? He's flying in tonight from a trip to Ohio. I'm not quite sure where he is now. Jones scrolled down his contacts on the phone. He was reluctant to make the call. He closed his eyes and pushed the speed dial. The call immediately went into Ham's voicemail. Jones spoke in a clear but sober voice. Ham, you need to call me right away. There's been an incident at the estate involving your father. He left the message but continued staring at the darkened computer screen. The yellow power cord from the power surge box had been disconnected from the wall socket. Someone had yanked the power from the machine. Jones shook his head. What had been displayed on that screen? Strickland held his phone in the hallway. A team from Prince William will be here in a few minutes. Ham sat on the long sofa in the hallway. My father didn't deserve this. Ham, where were you tonight? Asked Strickland. Ham stared at his father through the open doors as he spoke. I was just returning from a business trip. I had to check out a problem with the alarm at our plant in Prince William. The alarm. False alarm. He put his head in his hands. Can I get you anything, Ham? Asked Jones. Ham shook his head. Jones again traced the power cord from the computer across the rug to the power surge box. Why was that plug pulled out of the wall? When's the last time you called your father? Asked Strickland. 7:48 on my car digital. He kept his head buried in his hands. Then he looked up. It's my fault. Dad said he kept hearing noises on the estate. Really? Asked Strickland. Jones remembered what McGill had asked him about Thurman Childs. Any mention of Thurman Childs? No, answered Ham. Hollings shook his head. I read McGill's article about Thurman. Lots of tension between them, said Strickland, holding his radio. Wendell.
Yo!
Where are you?
We're sealing off the grounds, George.
You need to find Thurman Childs when you're done out there. Who else was here today? Asked Strickland. Well, I saw Alex Harmon earlier. Who's Alex Harmon? Asked Jones. Harmon was a part of the groundskeeping crew. My father fired him last week, said Ham. He had a drug problem. You don't suppose... What was he doing in the area tonight? Asked Jones. Route 7. I drove onto Route 7 and saw him on my way to Mr. Patrick's home. I saw Harmon riding his motorcycle. He was moving down the dirt road next to the stables. But not around the estate. No, that's the last I saw of him. I headed to town and then to Newtown. Ham closed his eyes again. Wendell! Yo! Said Wendell, peering around the corner at the foyer. Get on the horn to PWPD. We're looking for a guy named Alex Harmon. See if he has a record and bring him in for questioning. Drives a motorcycle. Yo, you can talk to my controller Malcolm Hayes and he'll get you the particulars on Harmon, said Ham. George, I'd like to know about that computer. Strickland creased his brow. Not now, Matthias. Who else was here tonight? My sister Anna was supposed to arrive here tonight from California, said Ham. Well, where is she now? Asked Strickland. Probably in the carriage house next to the pool. I talked to her on my cell. She heard nothing up here. She was in the swimming pool when Dad was murdered. I can't believe this is happening. I asked her to come up to the main house. She and I don't get along, Matthias. Jones looked through the rear atrium doors and then down the long side windows, both points of entry. The pool glowed in the darkness. He had heard Ham had a sister on the West Coast, but he had never met her. Out front, 3 Prince William cruisers and an unmarked patrol car pulled up behind the Jeep. Strickland looked outside and then spoke with a gentle voice to Ham. Ham, let's get you to another area of the estate, perhaps the carriage house. You can talk to your sister while we get work done in here. Hollings, if you would accompany Ham. Yes, sir. I don't understand why Anna isn't up here now. Ham nodded and stood. He moved with Hollings down the hall toward the foyer. Jones kept looking back at the dark computer screen. What was Hamilton up to when he was murdered?